Alrighty, we are getting ready to pack up. We're not the last ones out today, but we're close. We move slowly in the mornings. We take our time. But one last look around Groundhog Creek Shelter. And we've got some friends down the way that are doing short miles today. They're just going to max patch, so they're only doing about 5. Those guys were out on the trail last year and had to get off midway through, or maybe not quite, and they're back at it, picking up where they left off again and headed back up the trail. So they're just starting out, but they're just going to go up to max patch and do, they've got a trail angel that's going to drop them off some food, and we'll see them again up the road, I'm sure, especially when they get to moving. They'll be a little faster than we are, most likely. But we're going to head up the trail and we'll see what we see. Max patch should be a really awesome sight. Well, we're starting out today, and it's kind of a funny thing. A lot of the shelters are either in gaps or are down along creeks so that there's a water source available to them, which means that quite often when we leave out in the mornings, as is the case today, we're going uphill. And that gets us, at least it gets the blood flowing, but I could do with some downhill for a little bit. We're gonna have some today. We have, I think we're about 5 miles out from max patch, and I think after that we're mostly down to the other shelter, so that'll be kind of nice. And we should have some really good views up there. Sun's not up and out and burning off the clouds yet. It's probably about 9:30 or 9:45, but I'm hopeful that things will clear and we will have some awesome views today as we go up the trail. This is kind of what we're looking at this morning. Not a whole lot, just a trail through the woods, kind of like you've seen before. Maybe I need to flip the camera back around. We'll see what happens. I'll do some of that later on. But we'll talk to you soon. Well, we're still hiking towards max patch, and hopefully after that we're not climbing so much anymore. I just noticed out to the right, I bet you can't see this in the video. I'm gonna try to see if I can get the camera to lighten up on some of the areas out here. There's some trees out there that are beginning to bloom red. I don't know if you can see that or not, but anyway, one of the things that we're kind of interested in watching as we're out here on the trail is we'll be coming through winter to spring and spring into summer, and probably summer, maybe into fall when we get up to the north. I'm not real sure, so we'll see some seasons changing, and that's going to be a real interesting thing to watch. So we're kind of looking forward for that. So far our climbs have not been bad. They've been up a little bit and then flat a little bit, or down and then up, and I think we're going to hit a ridge line here just a little bit and continue going up on our assault of max patch, and we'll hopefully see some folks that we stayed with last night up there, depending on how long they sit around. But that's one of those places where you stop and you eat your lunch a little bit and enjoy the views. So rambling along through the woods, going gently uphill. I was kind of hoping at some point we would be able to see max patch up ahead of us. It's always, when you're climbing especially, it's always kind of nice to be able to see the top of what you're climbing, so you have some way to gauge whether you're nearly done or not. And I don't think we're climbing max patch yet. I know we're not, we're just getting closer to it. But it would be awfully nice to be able to see what we're headed towards. The terrain has been good this morning. We are kind of coming out of a little valley here now and doing a gentle climb. The grade has been good. Oh me, we ran into a couple of fellows last night that were first night out on the trail. The one older fellow was his first night backpacking. The younger guy has done some before. He was a high school student. And oh me, sniffles this morning from the cool weather. Anyway, they asked me whether yesterday's trek was typical of what we have seen since we left Georgia. And I had to be honest and say, well, we did climb 3,000 feet, but the grade was not too steep and the trail was clear. It's actually a little bit better pathway than we usually have. I'm not sure they were really interested in hearing that. So anyway, we're gonna take what we get and keep on marching up the hill. Looking forward to eating lunch on max patch, and I still hope the weather will break and warm up a little bit and clear off so we get some good views. Okay, I got to figure out about this tree right here. I really need to know what kind of tree that is because we've seen a lot of them and I think they're really neat. They're not full like a Christmas tree. I think it's a spruce tree of some kind, maybe a hemlock, I'm not real sure, but I would have thought a hemlock would have been fuller and more bigger branches. Of course, it's a young tree. But you see these sticking up and they're just kind of a Bob Ross happy little tree standing out by themselves sometimes in the middle of nowhere, but I think they're really pretty. We got still rhododendron. We're still doing some climbing. And it's been a really pretty morning today. I guess any day that it's not raining cats and dogs is a pretty morning out here on the trail. We're still gradually climbing, but they're taking it kind of easy on us with the trek this morning and winding us around up the insides of these valleys and the mountains. And that makes for a much easier hike than just trying to do switchbacks up the top of a mountain. So I'm blessed with that today. Well, still on trail this morning, still going up, but we've come to this little spot at the top of a little hill where we can actually do some looking around and see the ridge lines around us. Still not exactly quite sure where Mac's patch is going to be for us, but our trail is going over to, oh no, our trail doesn't go up that. Our trail goes down right here. So maybe out this way a bit. That may be it to the left out there in the distance a little bit. I'm not real sure yet. We'll have to do some peeking, but that could be, where's the finger? There's the finger. That could be it right up there. I'm not real sure. Or maybe it's a little further down that ridge line, but we are making progress towards it. We've come a couple of miles and we're keeping on going. I just realized that where I just stopped and videoed, this is a trail junction. It says right there, Rude Rock Trail. And this would be a place where you could camp. Can't get it to zoom. There we go, back out. People have camped here before. There's a small fire ring and you can see where things have been drug up. There's another small fire ring. Yeah, you could throw out a few tents right here and be pretty comfortable, although it's kind of on a ridge line. I'm still suspicious of how cold it would be if you got up on the ridge line trying to camp. Most of the shelters are down a little ways off the ridge or down and tucked into a little valley area just right off the ridge. I think that's just to kind of keep the wind down and keep the cold from being so bitter. But moving on up the trail, still looking for our lunch spot. Get ready to do a switchback, the double blaze. I guess I probably mentioned that before, but on that tree there, there's a double blaze, and that's called a kickover blaze. The one on the top right there indicates, well, whenever you see a two blaze trail, that means there's getting ready to be a change in the trail. And when there's a kickover like that, that means that the trail is going to be going over to the left. Whichever way the top blaze is bumped over, that's the direction the trail is headed. So I'm getting ready to go to the left, which is downhill for a little ways. Yay. All right, we're coming down through the trail and I just ran across this. This is a big old tree that partially dead. It's got some hollow spot in it, so I see why it fell. But it fell right beside the trail, or maybe somebody's, no, I don't think anybody moved that. It's too big because you can see the scarring. I'll walk on up, you can see the scarring on the tree up the way here. So this has not been down very long, I don't believe. Well, maybe it's longer than I thought. I thought that was fresher wood. But that's just really interesting the way that just tore away, and I can't imagine the windstorm that caused that to fall, but you can see where it scarred this tree right here when it did fall. It just to see the size of some of these trees that are out here that have fallen, it's just truly remarkable. Alrighty, we're back and we're still climbing. Wow. I'm not sure I realized it was going to be such an ordeal to get views today, and I'm awfully afraid the cloud cover is going to be over, so our views will not be as good as they could have been. But we just finished what I think is the steepest sustained climb since Jacob's Ladder. It wasn't absolutely horrible, but it was pretty tough. I was really slowing down my pace, trying to go up without stopping, taking steps out just 6 or so inches in front of the other foot, pushing off with my trekking poles. And that does help more than you would realize. But boy, that was arduous. But I think we are, I think that climb is to kind of put us up here on a ridge line, and hopefully it'll be roller coastering into Max Patch. We may have one a little bit more there, I don't know. We'll see when we get there. But you can sort of see the grade of the trail here this is much better than what we just came up. I'm actually able to walk and talk on this one. Keep on going. Well, we're still going, and I think we've reached the ridge line. Pretty blowdown right there. You don't see them like that very often. Boy, that's a big one. But I think that what we're looking for may be right up there. I think that's where we're headed. We really hope so. Whoop, jiggle, jiggle, there we go. So we're kind of doing a ridgeline thing, or working our way over towards it, and we'll be there in not too long of a time, I hope. We'll see what happens. I didn't mean to swing you around so fast. Sorry about that. All right, we definitely got it here on the ridgeline now, and you can see a really pretty shot of the trail up ahead. There's grass on either side, and wow, it's just really kind of cool when you get up to the top like this and you've got a nice easy path in front of you. And we know when we get up on top of that little hump right up there, there's probably going to be a little bit of a view, and we're working our way over towards our lunch spot on top of Max Patch. Well, I think we're almost there. Thought I'd give you a shot backwards for a minute. Sometimes I forget to do that. That's the valley down there where I just came from, and the trail just came over that. I'm pretty sure that was the tall climb that we had to make. It didn't quite make the summit, but it got close enough that we could see over the top, I think. And that's been kind of our day-to-day, is up and down. We are facing forward now, and I think we're getting ready to crest this little hill, and I hope, I'm not sure because I haven't looked at the map, but I think the next thing in front of us is going to be Max Patch, so I think we're nearly there. We'll see what happens in just a few minutes. Well, just 30 seconds later, and we didn't go over the top of this little hill here. We came up just to the side of it, and we're going to ridge walk for a little bit longer. But I do know that we're getting closer because we're walking northbound, and Max Patch is in front of us, and I know we'll get there sometime before lunch, because that's really where we plan to stop and eat lunch. But lunch may be a little later in the day than what is common, but we're going to move on. Well, we made our way onto this little wide trail that's sort of roadish. It may have been a four-wheel path at some point, but that is where we're headed up there. So we finally have our climb in sight, the one that we've been working for all day long. And none of what we've climbed so far has been Max Patch, but I knew that it wasn't, so that wasn't a surprise. So we've got this little bit of a climb here coming up, and it will be finally lunchtime. Whether we take the road or whether there's a trail or what exactly. What does that say? Oh, state road. Oh wow, this is a state road. Interesting. State Road 1182. So Groundhog Creek 5.8. We've come almost 6 miles this morning, and we're still moving along, but that's good, because that's going to mean Max Patch is our halfway point and our tipping point, because once we get to the top of that, most everything I believe is downhill. So we'll make substantially better time going down the hill than we will have coming up so far. So we're looking forward to being up there on the top just here in a little while. Sometime back when we were crossing over the funny fence crossing, that it was an odd one, and it was, and I found out later on that was actually to keep wild hogs out of the fence area. Their cloven feet would climb into that grate that they had, but this is the more common kind of a thing. It's just a cattle gate, and cows and other varmints are too big to come in here and do the little switchback and jee-haw in through there. So I thought I would show you that. And yeah, it is. It's blowing a little bit of snow today. It's cold. I just stopped a little while ago to put my windbreaker on, raincoat, and I'm much warmer now because it holds the heat in. So, oh boy, we get to go downhill a little bit before we go uphill. That's the Appalachian Trail, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. We are popping out of the trees, I think, for the final time until we get to the top. We're less than 4/10 of a mile to the summit of Max Patch. And it has been a longer day than I expected it would be for us to get here, but we're nearly there. And I know that the trail will be a little quicker going back down, because I think we're downhill nearly all the way to our shelter tonight. We're doing a long day. 13.1 today is our plan. I think we'll be able to make it. We're gonna get up here and get a quick bite of lunch if the wind doesn't blow us off, and then we'll set out for the other half of the day, see how things go. I want to hold on long enough to get to this little bend right here, because we might be able to see a few things right here. You just never know. Yeah, just a little bit. Stop and look kind of back where we came. Here comes Hawkeye up the trail. He's making good time today. And we're about to have a rest, and I'm thankful for that. Wow, that's pretty cool. I'll just keep the camera here, and as I turn, you'll see what I'm seeing. Yeah, this is the first true bald, or big bald anyway, that we've come across. And it's going to be gorgeous. I'm pretty sure the trail just goes right over the top of this. Once we get up, there's some stairs that way. And we'll be up and over here. Well, we are almost to the top of Max Patch, and this is the staircase going back down part of it. But our views are going to be incredible. Wow, you can see way out in the distance. It's absolutely gorgeous out there. We're going to eat a little bit, and I'll show you a little bit more. Okay, we are not at the summit, but we're going to stop here to eat, because the summit's up there, and I bet it's going to be windier than it is here. But I want to zoom in and just go slowing around here real quick. That's probably good right there. I'll try to keep the camera as still as I can as I move around, so that you can sort of see the beauty that is wrapping us in right here. It is absolutely gorgeous up here. Sorry, I'm jiggling a little bit. Gavin's going to be in the picture in just a minute, but that's all right. I wish that it was a beautifully sunny, clear day, but we take what we get out here. There's Gavin. Back up to the mountains. That's 180 degrees. And we'll keep on going. It is beautiful up here. There's our trail going up and around and up over the summit. We'll get up there just shortly. But we're gonna get off the crest right here and eat just a little bit. And that's the 180-degree view of what we got here today. It's been worth the climb. Hope you enjoyed that. Alrighty, we are full of food, and we are headed back up the trail. We have not yet reached the summit of Max Patch. We're headed that way. I know it's not far. And then I'm thinking I'm ready to come back and visit this on a warmer, sunny day, because it is cold and windy up here. We've had blowing snow. I probably should have put on my gloves to come up here, or to after my lunch anyway. But I'm hopeful that once we get up and over the summit, we'll get down out of the wind a little bit. It won't be as biting, and we'll be in for some warmer weather. We'll see what happens. And this is the summit of Max Patch. We have made it to the top. I'm going to turn around one time, and then I'm getting off of this thing because it's cold up here. Gavin put his gloves on. I probably should have, but I know that I don't ever take video if I have gloves on. And I know that there's some things that you'll want to see. The weather is the sun's trying to break through. I've seen a shadow a few times today. since we've been up here, but not much. Right now it's just blowing windy, and it's just kind of cold up here. But this is definitely somewhere I'd love to come back to when it's warmer and sunnier. It'd be a really nice day trip out. It's not too terribly far from home, I think. A couple of hours or maybe 2.5. I looked it up at some point, but I've forgotten. So we're going to head on down the Appalachian Trail right here. We have 7 miles to go to our shelter, and we're hopeful that our terrain will be good. It should be downhill from here for most of it. We've got a little bit of an uphill in the last mile, but I'm hoping we can do a really hopping pace down the mountain and get there before too terribly late. So we'll talk to you as we see something new. Okay, we are about to step off of the bald here at Max Patch, and it was beautiful, and it was windy and cold. But these trees were kind of neat. I stopped and said, "Wow, that reminds me of a fairy tale," and I don't remember which one. I don't know. Maybe not a fairy tale. Maybe it was The Wizard of Oz, where the trees were kind of reaching out. Those especially down here at the bottom. But I thought that was interesting. I thought you might like to see it too. So we're gonna hopefully get off this ridge and get down into the woods where the wind is not blowing as much, and move around enough to where my fingertips cease being numb for a few minutes. So far it's not been blowing snow up on the top here. I don't think we're due for any bad weather. I thought it was supposed to be sunny and warm today, but I think the weatherman got it wrong on both accounts, at least for this part of the for the trail. But maybe we'll walk into sunny and warm at some point later on down the way. We'll see what happens. Well, we're down off the ridge and out of the bald, sort of. And I am pleased to report that I do have feeling back in my fingertips again. But thought I'd turn the camera on and shoot back up the hill. We've come kind of down around to this bottom side of it up here, and got this nifty little fence right over here. I guess we're going to skirt around it. But I will also report that the walking off the top up there has been nicer than the walking going uphill. It's not been too steep, not too many water bars to crash your knees on. It's just been a gentle downhill, and I'm hopeful that that's the way that the rest of our day is going to be until the last mile. And even then, I hope that that climb is not going to be too terribly much. But that was very picturesque. I thought I would show you these the split rail fence there. Anyway, moving on up the trail. Alrighty, this is a gorgeous part of the trail right here. We are, well, excepting for the mud down here at our feet, but we're socked in with a creek down the hill there to the left side, and rhododendron coming in on both sides, making a nice little canopy to welcome us. So thank you, forest, for the hospitality. We're going to keep on plowing. This is terrain that I would appreciate for a good chunk of the day, except again for the mud. But I mean, it's flat as a board right here, and we're just posting right along. Well, you know my proclivity to take pictures of mountain streams, and this is a neat one. We got a little bit of steps going down to it, and if we needed water, boy, that would be the perfect place to get it. And as we walk on ahead, they've got the trail line, and there's another little stream or two, I guess just a branch off of this one shooting out in front of us. And I never get tired of seeing the sunlight glint on the ripples in a mountain stream, or hearing the little babbling water go by. Absolutely gorgeous. One of the things that keeps me out here. Well, we took this little side trail. It's not even a 1/10 of a mile. This is Roaring Fork Shelter, and we're going to pause here and just rest for a few minutes. And we've got about 4.5 to the next shelter, and that's completely doable, because that means we've done over 2 since we left the top of Max Patch, and we've not even been out an hour yet. So the terrain is playing to our favor today, and that's great. So this is just a real quick look around, and we're going to be back on trail just shortly. And it's another one. I just love these mountain streams. You know that. This one, somebody has made an easy way to cross right there, And it actually split the stream into two sections right here. And we appreciate the folks that are out here making our trek easier. Thanks to whomever helped pull up all those rocks and pile them in the middle and make us a little makeshift bridge across this one. Talk about trail engineers. Now this is honestly a bridge. They have taken two down logs and trimmed off the top sides flat. And there's even a placard down there to let us know who helped out on this thing, because this one's fairly new. I can still see wood chips down there on the ground. And there's some of the leftovers right there. So let's see when this was made. Yeah, there's sawdust still on this one as well. This one's new this year. There's still a lot of sawdust. So that's the Carolina Mountain Club. So we must be in North Carolina right now. And thank you guys to the Carolina Mountain, or to the Carolina Outdoor Club. Have to look into that when we get home and find out more about these guys. Figure out where they're based. I know there's a trail maintenance club, pretty sure based in Damascus, Virginia. But this one may be a little closer to home. And boy, I'm glad we didn't have to go through that boggy area right there. It's kind of a mess. But yeah, they did a great job, and we appreciate you guys. Thanks so much. Well, speaking of big trees that have fallen down, that thing's at least 3 feet across. And there's where it came from. I don't know. It's hard to get a scale, but that trunk right there has to be close to 5 feet of diameter. Gosh, I don't know how I can show you the scale because Gavin's behind me. But that is absolutely enormous. Of course, it's rotted, so that's why it has fallen. But I don't know. You just can't get a scale of this thing. It's absolutely huge. Probably the biggest tree we've seen so far. But anyway, moving on down the trail, and the trail has been awesome this afternoon. It has been mostly what you're seeing right here. We've been kind of going down through the rhododendrons, zigzagging along the creek beds, and working our way steadily downhill, but nothing enough to jar the knees. So we've been blessed with a great walk since we left the summit of Max Patch, and that was awesome as well. A little cold and chilly, blowing a little bit of snow, but nothing much. I think it was just blowing a little bit. No accumulation expected. But this has been a great afternoon of hiking. It's certainly not hot. I still have my rain jacket on to give me just an extra little bit of a warmth layer, because it traps in some body heat and does a fantastic job. But at the same time, I don't sweat to death in it, so that's been a blessing. And we're coming up to another bridge, going over a creek. So I'm going to leave this on because you know that I want to video every creek I come across. I don't really, but it seems like I must. And we've got a handrail and no placard this time. Maybe there's one on the other side, but I know this is the Carolina Mountain Club as well, because they're responsible for this section of the trail. And they've done a fantastic job. I'm going to stop midway across and we'll just sort of let you see what we're seeing here. Oh, wow. I never get tired. And there's a little eddy right there. It just pedals right along down there. Beautiful day of hiking today. Big rock alert. Oh, that's a big tree. That's a big rock right there. That is a big rock right there. That's like 12 or 15 feet in diameter. Just sitting right up there. Looks like it's been sitting there for a while. And I hope that it can sit there for about 10 minutes longer, so that Gavin and I can walk up underneath here and get past. There's stuff growing. I don't know if you can tell. There's a rhododendron right there. Oh, thumb to the center. Right there. That's growing out of this thing. That is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So please hold still for just a few minutes, Mr. Rock, and let me wander on past the trail here. And we'll be safe. Well, we're still going. We just finished our downhill flat section, and it lasted for 5 or so miles, maybe 6. And the Appalachian Trail has a sense of humor, because our shelter is 1.2 miles on up, and it's uphill. Maybe it's going to be graded well, I hope. So far it's not been too bad. We've probably got the 0.2 knocked out, but it's not looking good to the left over here. Looks like it might go up that. And if it's not graded, that's going to be steep. So we'll see what happens, and I hope that I can remember to show you a picture of the shelter when we get there. Problem is, when we get there, it's going to be time to eat and put up a tent and get settled. And sometimes I forget. So if I do, please forgive me. I'll try to remember. We'll see in a bit. All right, calling all science teachers. This has been driving me insane. These are some scraps of wood that I found on the trail, and they are just absolutely a dark forest green. I think, let me twist this around. Well, let's just move the camera. Duh. That's the limb that they came from, and I want to know what kind of tree it is, or if it's not some sort of special tree, and all kinds of trees do this. Why is this stuff turning forest green on the ground? Because it's dead as a rock. It's not green wood. We were asking somebody the other day, and they just completely misunderstood us. And no, we weren't talking about green wood. Duh. I've been in the woods all my life. I know that. But I've been seeing that stuff the whole way along, here and there, and I just got to know what it is. So somebody out there that's a science teacher or just a naturalist or whatever, let us know about it. In the meantime, enjoy the water falling down this rock right here. That's a huge rock. That's a carport size rock right there. Beautiful. I don't know whether we're going to cross it up here or not. It may be the water source for the shelter. I don't know. We're closing in on the shelter for the evening, so we'll see what happens. We're going up the trail a bit, and we're nearly there. Well, this is proof that even after a long day of hiking, you can still be surprised, because still going uphill. I was not expecting this to be a bald, and I was not expecting for the sun to be out. So maybe we'll have some clear skies and we'll see some stars tonight. That would be really awesome. So this is near the end of our day. We're going to get up and over this thing, and I think we're done.